First off, thanks for everybody for joining. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. We got lots of slides from our friends here at Google with Lisa, who leads the global business development at Google. I think especially on the hospitality side, right, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm more SMB success and industry engagement. Spent a lot of my time on restaurants and have for decades. So I love the space and all of you. So excited to talk about this topic.
And then we also have Michael Gnagy here, who is product manager at Google, specifically for the Google Business Profile. One of my favorite people to meet, just because he's all about helping get more traffic and more orders to restaurants. And helping connect consumers with some of their favorite spaces.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. And I think with that, we'll get started. So why Google matters to restaurants? I know this may seem silly, but I mean, it is, just to remind everybody, I mean, it's 2/3 of all online experiences start with a search engine, and that's Google, right? Google owns a large percentage of search. The Google Business Profile, in our experience, is if not number one, the second most important part of the digital storefront, right? So we talk about digital storefront a lot at Chowly because this is one of the ways that in 2025, to get more orders at restaurants, it's about digital foot traffic as much as it's about physical foot traffic. And Google is the number one discovery tool for restaurants as we continue to move into the digital age. So we already did a round of intros, so it looks like I jumped the gun on that a little bit, but we got to meet Lisa and Mike, and then I'm Sterling Douglas, co-founder and CEO at Chowly. So before we get started into some of those slides, we want to lay a little bit of groundwork on just how we think about kind of the restaurant tech space and how Google fits into it. And I think we at this turn it to Lisa.
All right, perfect. Wasn't sure if you wanted to say anything before this. Okay, so Google's massive. We see billions of queries every single day, trillions every single year. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to get in front of people when they have that moment of intent and they're looking for you. We also see that 15% of searches are new, which is crazy. You think about how could that possibly be? Think about news headlines. Think about, somebody's looking for something very specific. I think I joked in another meeting that it was like somebody's looking for how to compost a banana peel in an apartment without attracting pests, right? So there's like long queries that we see, which is good because we understand people's intent. In the restaurant space, we have seen tremendous growth. We continue to. Sometimes you feel like it has to level out at some point, but it doesn't. So we saw 33% year-over-year growth in restaurant-related searches. So people still really, really care about this, and it's continuing to be an important part of the journey.
And from our view, to jump on that, one of the reasons that we think Google is going to be is already the number one discovery tool is because their restaurant searches are actually growing faster than what we see from some of the marketplaces, right? If you look at companies like Uber or DoorDash, right, these aggregation, these marketplaces are kind of designed to be a discovery tool, right? They're a listing of all the restaurants that can deliver to you. But when we see Google's restaurant interactions and searches grow faster, that's a key to us that Google is actually going to be the way that consumers discover restaurants. So I think it's really important to put that in perspective.
That's a really great point. Thank you. Couple fun stats for you that we pulled. So food near me, we continue to see tremendous growth in near me searches. Sometimes people know what they want, sometimes they don't, and they want to be inspired. And also on that second one, food near me open now, right? How many times do you search for that? I do it all the time. I'm like, all right, I'm hungry. Where am I? What's around me? I think Mike and I just did this recently at a meeting and went and had dinner together. So the third one is ingredient focused, right? There's a lot of trends. So hot honey pizza, I'm a huge fan. So I was excited when this actually stuck out. We were doing a measure of sort of top searches and hot honey pizza stuck out. So listen, if you have unique menu items or ingredients that are on trend, or think about this as what should I add to my menu? These are really, really helpful insights. And so make sure you're highlighting that as people are looking for you so that you can show up. And then the last one is restaurants near me in Spanish, which we saw breakout search results for that. And this really stands out if you think about, Circa de Mi, right? Do you have a Spanish menu? Are you ready for these customers to be able to engage with you?
We had a lot of success last year with a lot of our digital marketing customers, either acquiring those keywords or building a lot of Spanish language into the marketing websites, right? Some of these restaurants live in areas where there's a really large percentage of Spanish speaking. And so making sure that, your website and your digital storefront is ready for that and can take advantage of it. It's a great way to generate more traffic to your site and more orders to your restaurant.
Yeah, good point. All right, Sterling, I think this may be you.
And on that digital storefront, right, we talked about kind of this idea of physical foot traffic and digital foot traffic. At Chowly, we've been really lucky to work with some incredibly fast-growing brands over the years. And one of the things that almost all of them had in common is that they paid as much attention to their digital storefront as their physical storefront. I know so many restaurateurs who think about, what type of chairs and tables, the tablecloths, the colors of everything, how much natural light comes in. Like, spend so much time thinking about kind of this on-premise experience. And the groups that are spending that same amount of time and that same amount of focus on their digital appearance, they're capturing more traffic, they're creating more demand for their restaurant. And what we've seen is that between your website and your Google Business Profile, that is a huge part of your digital storefront. We just had a couple restaurants literally in the last week that came on board, and we're seeing 80%. There are 2 restaurants, 80% of their traffic's being referred by Google and Google Business Profile. Right. So each of these doors, right, like Google Business Profile is a door to your digital storefront. This year, like, this is how restaurants create demand. And it's a huge part of, what we focus on.
Mike, I think you had a comment as we were walking through this about the comic that you loved. Do you want to share that? Because I thought it was so appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a comic that's probably 10 years old at this point or more from the Oatmeal that touches on, what customers need from a restaurant website versus what many restaurants have on their website. And the comic is dated because, it talks about like, flash animations and like 90 megabyte PDF files and bios of the owner. But really, when a customer visits your website, they want to see, are you open? How do I get there? What do you sell? Do you have links that actually work to online, booking or ordering tools? And that's it. Like, I feel like many restaurants still in 2025 miss the mark on just nailing those fundamentals and focus way too much on unnecessary fluff.
There was a study that I think Chipotle did, I think McKinsey did when they were working with Chipotle a few years ago. 80% of their website visitors were there to place an order. That was why they were there. And so just remembering why they're there is so important. I agree.
No, that's so true. Sometimes if I'm on my phone and a restaurant has a PDF menu that I have to download, then I can never get back to it. So I have like 8 versions of it. I'm like, wait, I want to show my husband this menu item. So anyways, we can keep going, but I thought that was an interesting comic.
No, that's a good one. And it's the same point here. Right? A lot of folks, right, even when we talk about the hot honey pizza, they already have a dish in mind when they're searching for food. And so making sure that that's prevalent, making sure that the picture is there. And I'm definitely part of this 82%. If I see a picture and it looks really good, I am definitely more likely to buy it and to order it. Like the people eat with their eyes. I know everybody says that, but it's even better when you got data like this to back it up. And these are the things that we really focus on with a lot of our restaurants.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. The big disclaimer. No matter how you can go to the next one, Lisa just goes into more detail. No matter how good your digital marketing is, no matter how good your Google business profile is, no matter how great your pictures are, none of that really matters if the operations aren't set. Right? None of it matters if the staff isn't well trained, if the processes aren't there, if the dishes make sense, if the dishes make money. Right? All of these things need to be done, right? Otherwise, you're just throwing good money after bad, and no amount of marketing is going to fix that. So we're going to talk a lot about, how to like optimize, kind of the Google part of your storefront, and your website and all these things. But it doesn't matter how great it is if the operations aren't equally as good. So always want to be clear there. We may know a lot about that, but we can't help operations. I'm not going to be particularly good at that part.
That's true. And you want those good reviews. So you got to follow all the way through with the service.
All right. So let's talk about how to get more discoverable.
Okay. All right. So we have some data. So we talked about like how many searches we're seeing, which is tremendous. But businesses are the core of what we're doing. And so we have this study that comes out. It's called the Google Economic Report, Impact Report. Comes out every April. So we're going to see a new one next month. But basically what it said is that every single month in 2023, we saw 2 billion customer connections to businesses. So these are things like clicks on directions, right? Like calls, all those little buttons that you see on the business profile. We were able to make these connections for 18 million businesses, right? So we're going to talk a lot about how to get discovered. How do we continue to help facilitate connections for your business? And some of that will be grounded in how you're showing up. To make you discoverable. So these are the tactics we're going to walk through. We got 5 of them. I'm not going to go read them right now. We can just walk through, but hopefully each of these you'll have some takeaways to go and do. And I know Sterling and his team are doing a lot of this work for you guys, which is amazing. So the first one is just be there. Be there when customers are looking for you. There's a lot of foundational information that really, really matter. And again, this is all about discoverability. Sterling, did you want to make a comment here before we move on? You are on mute, maybe? Can't hear you.
Yeah, I was on mute. Good call. Dang. All right. No, I think one of the reasons that we love Google for Restaurants so much is that what we've seen across all the different like social media platforms and everything is we've seen a lot of different behaviors. Right. So we see a lot of different behaviors when we might advertise on something like Facebook or Instagram, versus when we see on Google. And I think it has a lot to do with intent. Right. And like a restaurant's ICP, their ideal customer profile, it's someone who's hungry. Right. If you're hungry, like you are a good fit for this restaurant. Right. Like that's the profile. And anyone who is searching for restaurants or for food or for hot honey pizza, they are most likely hungry right then and there, right? So they have a really high intent. Whereas if you might be on a different platform, right, you might be like death scrolling, on Twitter or X or one of these other ones, and it might be interesting. You might see the restaurant ad. But the likelihood that you're actually hungry at that exact moment is much lower than it is when someone's searching Google. And so for us, like we have seen such better attribution and tying real orders to being surfaced on Google than we have any other platform. And so when Lisa's talking about, be there when your customers are looking for you, like all of our data and all of our experience lines up perfect with that. And it translates to real orders and real sales. And so these next few slides, they might seem simple, but we see it make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point about intent because you don't know what people are looking for. They might be hungry, but they might need, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, they might need a restaurant that has a big patio for a group, or they might have, specific needs, whether it's in that moment or they're looking for something for later. So how you show up and all of what you add is going to be really important to make sure you are. sort of within this search results. So this is where you show up, right? So your business profile shows up across search and maps. So some people like you may search specifically on maps. I know a lot of people who are just map searchers. I'm a Google search, traditional searcher. But this is where you show up. Massive opportunity here, 1 billion users on each platform, right? And so this might be the first introduction that somebody has to your business, right? So take advantage of that. A lot of this could be I'm sorry, go ahead, Sterling.
I was going to say I had one on this one that we found specifically with restaurants. Anywhere between 50 and 80% of the site traffic that's coming from Google is actually coming from maps, not from search. And that lines up with a lot of data that we see on the restaurant side, is that almost all restaurant web traffic is mobile, right? Like 80% of all the site traffic from our restaurants, from restaurants in general, comes from mobile. And when people are interacting with it, it's very often maps. So we see a ton on maps and on mobile.
That's awesome. Good insights. Thank you. So this slide could be 25 slides long, but just thinking about how people are searching, right? Sometimes they know who you are, right? They've been to you and they just need directions, or they want to make a reservation, or they heard about you from someone else, right? Sometimes they may have a neighborhood in mind, like, hey, let's go grab dinner in the West Loop, or I'm traveling somewhere. Let's all convene here. Sometimes that hot honey pizza, I'm like craving it. I might want, right? So there's all different things. It could be by attribute. Like there could be a big game that people want to go watch, and where's a place I can go that has a TV, right? So there's lots of different things that people are looking for. And most of the time, there's a bunch of things that they're looking for together. So I mentioned early on those longer searches that we're starting to see, which is like, I want hot honey pizza at a place that has an outdoor patio and TVs, and I can bring my dog, and they have great vegetarian options, right? Like we're starting to see these, what we call complex queries. And it's great because people tell us what they want. But if you're not telling us you have an outdoor TV, or telling us you have a patio, or frankly showing pictures of it, we don't know. So you may not show up when somebody is doing that search. So really important to understand. So sometimes people know what they're looking for, and sometimes they don't. They just want to be inspired. Where can I go for a great date night? So you might have seen we've kind of changed some of the search results pages that are a little bit more organized using AI. So it might be, what are some charming, romantic restaurants, or where are some restaurants with live music? So we're trying to cluster some of these together to help with inspiration. So if one of these clusters is like, live music sounds awesome, then you can kind of flip through all of those. So there's a lot of moments of inspiration. So thinking about how you can show up there as well. I always love this slide. Sometimes we do an exercise, but like if you look at the business, this is a real business profile, by the way, of like a really popular restaurant on the left-hand side. And so we don't want to embarrass them. So we covered everything up. And then you see this awesome, robust profile on the right, our friend Rev, who's got this great burger place in Times Square in New York. Like if you think about your own business, right? Where do you fall? Are you a little bit more on the left or a little bit more on the right? My assumption is if you're working with Chowly, you're probably much more on the right-hand side. But I think it's really important to understand this richness, all the visuals that you see, all of this information, like it makes this much more compelling here. And so think about how to just make sure you're maximizing that. And if there's information or pictures you need to give to Chowly to give to us, please do so. All right, so basic fundamental stuff. Again, Chowly helps here. You'd be surprised at how often we see like broken links for menus or websites. One thing I just want to point out really quickly here is hours. We love the businesses give us their hours. What we don't love is when they forgot to give us their holiday hours or special hours. I cannot tell you how often I've gone onto Google to be like, oh, this restaurant looks really good, or this business. It happens with nail salons all the time. I drive there and I'm all excited, and then they're closed. And I'm like, okay, please update your Google. So like, these are the kinds of things to make sure that you're updating, because it ruins your credibility and it ruins ours, frankly, if we have incorrect information in there. Cool. Wanted to share something new. We know verification has been kind of a pain point for people. We hear you. Good news. And we've heard from some partners that they've seen some really good results lately from this. We are now, for video verification in particular, we're now providing insights into, hey, your video failed for X, Y, and Z reasons. Here's the things that you need to do to fix it, and then resubmit. This has been very well received. We know there's still a lot of pain points with verification. We have a whole team of people that are working on that. They've got a roadmap for the next couple of years. So just know that we hear you when it comes to verification challenges.
Yeah, and we've specifically seen this. This in the last few weeks. We've had customers leverage the video verification, and it's so much faster. So we've seen a lot of, like, literally in the like, I think we did one earlier today to help a group kind of get their stuff kind of refigured out, and it was so much faster. So we're actually trying to help any of our net new customers who have kind of verification issues. We're trying to do video first because we're just seeing a lot of good results from it.
That brings me so much joy. Mike, see, it's all happening. It's amazing. Very cool. Mike, I want you to talk about this because this is one of your babies.
Yeah. So there's a very large segment of the population that would prefer to message versus call. It makes sense. It's asynchronous. You can be at work multitasking and receive a response later. These types of questions don't need to be answered in a right now basis. So we've leaned into that, and we've allowed businesses to add their a phone number for either text messaging or other popular apps, starting with WhatsApp. So you can add your WhatsApp information and free up your phone lines. So, and like, I'll put this in a Chowly ordering context, right? So like, you have a particular dish, and like maybe it's marked as gluten-free, and you want to ask if it is prepared on a separate grill because, like, you have celiacs and you're super serious about it. And a lot of places that have dishes that are gluten-free still might not have the sanitization that's required for you. Like, that's a great question to ask through a messaging channel, before you place an order.
Love it. Good example. And this is how you do it.
And this is how you do it. You just go into your business profile, you scroll down to this like chat dialogue, and you add your phone number or WhatsApp information.
Awesome. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of adoption here, which is great. So Mike, I'll let you keep rolling here.
Yeah. So let's talk about, how you should showcase your offerings on Google. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Here's just a thought for you. If your business profile could talk, what story would it tell? I'm going to talk about a lot of objective information in a moment, but there's also some subjective information on your listing, photography, video. If I'm looking for a dive bar, I want to see a dive bar. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So do you have high resolution videos from customers or ones that you've uploaded on your listing? Imagery means a lot. So, and with that, with the subjective stuff out of the way, we'll get back into the objective stuff. Menus are very important when people are trying to make a decision on where to eat. What cuisine do you have? What dishes do you have? What ingredients are in those dishes? How much does it cost? Yes, understanding table availability matters. But if I see, something is like a hamburger. Well, a hamburger can be a quarter pound, it can be a half pound, it can be a smash burger, it can be gourmet, it can be served on a brioche bun, it can be served on a Martin's potato roll. Like, these are pretty important details. And through Google, we get, we allow businesses to provide menu information a variety of different ways, either a link to their website, uploading a menu photo or a PDF. Yes, it's 2025, but now you can upload a PDF that is, 25 pages like the Cheesecake Factory to your business profile without uploading a bunch of individual images. We also feature menu highlights, which is primarily driven by user sentiment. but we do rank based on quality of photos. So if you have your own photos on your profile, it increases the likelihood that those are going to be shown. And then for, I'm not looking to go to the restaurant's website. I'm just tabbing between different things on Google. I really can't stress the importance of having a high quality, detailed, structured menu with prices from not 4 years ago. It's weird. Like if I look at menu photos, here in Austin for breakfast tacos and the first menu photo says that, breakfast tacos are like $2.50. I'm like, first of all, this taco is egg heavy. There's no way it's $2.50. And then I'll look at the photo and it's like a 6-year-old menu photo. We can skip to the next slide.
Okay. Sterling, was there anything you want to say before we move on?
I was just say those structured menus on the right side, for our platform customers, we're actually sending that same menu that we're getting for the point of sale. So when you make price changes or when you update photos, any of those things, we're helping kind of give a consistent layout, not just on your Google side, but with your first party ordering, any of the marketplaces that we're integrated to. So there's a really consistent experience across the board for every brand.
And to elaborate on the value of the structured menu, we did a case study with the taco restaurant that you can see here, and they saw on their business profile by adding structured data, they saw an overall increase in month-over-month menu interactions. They were appearing in different organic searches. So, as Lisa talked about, like how searches are becoming more specific, you could imagine that having metadata on your menu in one of these detailed menus means that you're popping up in different types of queries. So like if this was a hamburger place and you were searching for a gourmet burger with a brioche bun, like having those terms, brioche bun, present on your structured menu, will mean that you're eligible to trigger in those types of very niche queries. We've also allowed businesses to tag different dishes as being vegan or vegetarian. They show up with little badges, which means that if you're just like scrolling through, a relatively long menu, it's easy to see which of those dishes are for vegans or vegetarians.
Yeah, and those images as well. Those are the two main things that they added were the vegetarian and vegan tags and the dish specific photos. And it's incredible what we've seen. So as both Mike and Sterling have said, like this is so absolutely critical to success here. We do have some best practices.
Yeah. So the enumerated list of ingredients, to use a food pun, for a great menu would be having section headers that are organized in a way that is designed for online consumption. So if your dessert category is coming first on your menu, followed by drinks that are fountain drinks and bottle of water, and then your entrees that like your featured stuff is at the very bottom of your menu, you're doing yourself a disservice. Having correctly spelled dish names on your menu that are, character cased in a logical and readable way makes a ton of sense. Descriptions. There's a restaurant in Austin that all of their burgers are named after zip codes. So knowing what a 78756 or a 78704 is, and knowing which of those are for me and which ones have blue cheese on them would be pretty painful if they didn't have dish descriptions. So that's super important. I talked about prices. Keeping prices up to date is really, really important. And just like your offerings overall, like if you've stopped selling something, it shouldn't be on your online presence. It shouldn't be on your online menu, because you could, create friction with customers who come in and they're expecting eggs Benedict, and you're like, well, we haven't sold that in 3 months. That actually happened to me in a restaurant in Cambridge recently. Photos of the dishes. I wouldn't actually say that you need photos of everything on your menu. Like, I know what a Dasani bottle of water looks like. I know what a fountain drink is going to look like. But at least for your core offerings, the things that make your business, stand out, and make you special, please have photos of those. And then if you happen to have a venue where you've catered dishes to people that are vegan or vegetarian, those annotations make a ton of points. So comprehensiveness, richness, freshness. In the event that you are not using the Chowly platform, I do want to talk about a cheat code to having a digital online menu. And that is, you can upload photos of your menu or that PDF, and we can actually use AI to read the menu and generate a list of pretty much everything that I said in the last slide. Save the pictures. We're not going to generate a bunch of dish photos on your behalf. We want to make sure that those are authentic, and that we're not hallucinating a bunch of pickles on your food. So yeah, this saves a ton of time. And speaking of AI, you can also use AI to write business description. So if you want to create a really robust description of your business, we can actually use all the attributes on your listing and user reviews to help you write a really good description that you can use as a draft, tweak, and make your own.
I love this tool. You can play with it, you can edit it, you can not use it, or you can ask it to keep regenerating if you don't like what you're seeing. I've had a lot of fun with this, so hopefully I'll do too.
Speaking of attributes, so
sorry, real quick, we had a question from the audience. It's a feature question with GBP, so I don't know if you'll know the answer to this or not. The question from one of our restaurants is, how far in advance can you set special hours?
Okay, so I'm looking at the question. We tried to set hours.
Looks like there's also maybe like a
on
bug
rolling.
in there too.
They disappear. So on a rolling 4-week, they disappear from our profile. I do not know the answer to that. I know that the primary use case for special hours relates to things like holidays. We're closed for Thanksgiving, 4th of July. If we have time during the live Q&A, I would like to hear a little bit more about the use case.
Yeah, we can also follow up too.
Yeah, I think in our experience, I mean, at least a year, because with a handful of our customers, we'll actually put in those temp hours during our implementation so that their holiday hours are set for the year. So if we launch someone today, we'll actually ask them about, Christmas and see it. So I think that it goes somewhat far, at least that far out. And then why they would be getting disappear, we could, that one less for.
I actually know more than you might think about special hours, so that question may have thrown off the rest of this presentation. I apologize, but yeah, I'll do my best to pivot back to talking about attributes, and then see if I can park my wandering mind for a minute. Yeah, so Lisa mentioned trying to find a great place to watch the game. That's like, do you have outdoor seating? Do you have TVs? Is this good for live sports? Like, these attributes make a huge difference in being able to fulfill some of these like more specific queries that we're seeing from users, like great places to go for Mother's Day with a insert thing, or like. We now have, I believe you can signal that your business is dog friendly, and you allow dogs, but only on the patio, which is like very, very specific. So in addition to that being able to help you write better descriptions, it also helps you show up in some of these more niche queries that, even though they're niche, users are doing more of them.
Yeah, I
So
agree. Just to add, oh, sorry. I was just going to add on top of that really quickly. Things like parking or free parking are a really big deal. Things like accessibility, so wheelchair accessible with ramps. Like we see a lot of that because as we talk about like very specific needs that people have in that moment where they're looking for a place to go, if you have somebody who needs, more accessibility options, like that is a make or break thing that will, help somebody make their decision. So super important to go in with some of these we add for you, but some you need to go in and add yourself. So please make sure that those are fully filled out. Sorry, Mike, to interrupt you.
I'm really appreciating that the curveballs and challenges keeps me on my toes. Yeah, I mean, I think I already talked about photos and videos, so I won't spend too much time on this. I know that we only have about 20 minutes left, but here's some great pictures. If I was looking at a business listing and saw photography that looked like this, in a list of 3 or 4 places, and I would be keen to click on them. So getting back to like some stats on photos and videos, if a business is lacking photos, they're going to see fewer direction requests. The more robust information, hours of operation, it has an ordering link, it has some type of a reservation tool. Those businesses are going to receive more clicks, up to 7x, depending on complete. Complete is, maybe a term that's not described, but basically, if you have all those attributes set and you've done videos and you have your structured menu, I think you're in good shape. You're going to fall into that 7x more click category. You're also going to see more clicks through to your website, and then more actual visits, right? Like if a profile has one photo, and I've actually seen some listings where it's like they have like 1 or 2 photos, no menu. It's like, what is this, like in an alley? Should I be concerned about my safety? I'm not going to get directions to this place. And that's it. Moving along, we now allow businesses to directly link to other online social media presences. So, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Pinterest isn't really applicable for food and drink businesses, but if you have a Pinterest page, knock yourself out. We do randomize which ones show up on the profile. So if you add all of the above and you're only seeing a few, only 5 are shown at a time. We only have so many pixels to show these things. So we can talk about like a more practical user-facing benefit other than a link to a social media presence. From popular channels like X, Facebook, and Instagram, we can actually, if the page is public, we can index and show posts from those platforms directly on your business profile. So if you're posting about, say, like a Taco Tuesday or something, and there's a little unit that says social media updates, and just another benefit of posting or of linking content that you're already publishing on other online platforms onto Google search. This is search only, by the way.
Yeah. And it's cool. There's a nearby events and deals module to your offers and events, I think it's called.
Don't spoil it.
Too. Oh, is that coming? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was there. I can't see it small. Just kidding.
We can, so this is just a stat on posting events and deals. Customers are, especially now, are looking for promotions, discounts when making decisions. So having that information on your listing is not a bad thing. And we'll now talk about the events and offers module. So if you're doing a search for something like pizza near me, and you've published offer, or if you're having, say, a jazz night at your pizza restaurant, we actually have a unit. And again, this is on one of those like broader terms. So it's an opportunity to reach customers that may not be familiar with your business. There's a unit that shows a collection of nearby events or offers that is specific to that query stream. So I think the example here is like dessert near Houston, and you can see, places in your vicinity that have a dessert event or a dessert offer. And this is actually launched in, I believe it's also launched in Canada and Australia in addition to the US.
Amazing. These are all the cool things that Mike is building. So it's so fun to have you here.
Have my finger in many pies, going back to the dessert thing. I'm not going to spend time on this one, but being able to showcase whether or not you have TVs, you have live sports. There's a Q&A module on Google search that allows businesses to reply to questions from customers. So what should I wear? That's it.
Cool. I like getting that through photos. I always like go through all the photos to be like, what are people wearing? Should I dress up? Is it casual? So always useful to get that info from there.
All right, now let's talk about taking action. I've decided that this is the place for me. I'll hand it back to Sterling before I go over, and I'll take a sip of water.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick little break. I mean, Google's such a big part of the Chowly platform product. We've talked about a couple of things, but during implementation, we go over the best practices. We make sure that the naming conventions are right, the categories are selected, we clean up links, and we do that during the process. A lot of times, it's done for you. And we do get, and which Mike will talk about, like some of the first party setups, the preferred business, making sure that anyone who's kind of visiting that Google business profile knows they can order direct right from you. And that's something that we spend a good chunk of time with during that initial setup to get right.
So back to stats. Being able to take action in a business is no longer it's no longer a novelty, it's an expectation. So when customers are looking at an upper scale restaurant, they expect to be able to book a restaurant reservation. If they're looking at a fast casual or QSR, they're expecting to be able to place some type of an order. So Google has two offerings that lean into both the ordering and reservation use case. We work with a variety of aggregators and more tight close to the business providers to enable both ordering and reservation booking. And businesses who happen to work with a multitude of providers but have a certain bias are able to set and signal to customers which one they prefer, which does influence the ranking in a provider list that can become quite crowded for some businesses. And then in the dine at use case, we are now allowing businesses directly on users directly on the profile to select time slots and skip a few screens and reduce friction from the booking experience. And then, that's our goal. Our goal is to connect users who are searching for a specific business to that business and show all this rich information. And if you're in the, mindset of I'm new to this area or I'm an out of towner and I'm trying to figure out where to go, be able to connect them to a place where they'll hopefully have a delightful experience.
Yes. Thank you, Mike. I think the other neat thing is rather than having people have to go to a business profile, we're trying to bring some of this ordering and reservation capability further up in the funnel. So when people are just seeing these restaurants for the first time in the search results, there's also an opportunity to engage them there to go ahead and book, which is kind of cool. All right, so we're getting there, everyone. So engagement's really, really important. Making sure you're engaged. Hopefully you all are already responding to reviews. If you're not, please do it. I think the expectation, one, this is a way for you to build your community. and your brand. And so make sure that you're there responding. Some people only respond to positive, some respond to negative, some are spotty, and so some don't respond at all. Please do that. It's really important. And as people are looking through reviews, they might appreciate how you show up. So please make sure you're taking advantage of that. Negative reviews, we get a lot of questions on this. Please don't panic. It happens to every business. You're having a bad day. The customer's having a bad day. Things happen. It's okay. Just a couple tips here. One is just don't panic. Take a beat. Understand what's going on in the context of the review. There was actually a situation in my town recently where one of the business owners, who's well known in the community, had the most upsetting responses. He was blaming the customers and getting angry and heated and, go contact the manufacturer of the hot dogs. This isn't my fault. Like, it was pretty ugly. And so that can very quickly ruin your brand, rather than trying to make the customer feel better, take the conversation offline, just take a beat, please, and do not get emotional in your responses. I always say, like, don't be that guy. So opportunity here. And if somebody sees how you show up based on how you respond to a negative review, that could actually help you. So keep those things in mind. We get a lot of questions on inappropriate reviews. I'm getting spammed. I don't know what this is. Or I'm getting all these negative reviews, and that's not really fair. One thing to keep in mind is Google does not get in between you and your customer. Like, we cannot debate the facts on what happened. So we're not going to get in the middle of that. But if you feel like something is violating our policies, you do have the opportunity to go in and flag the review. And so our team will take a look at it. You can sort of say which policy or which area that it was violating. Our team will take a look at it. If you don't like the results, you can appeal. There is a tool in there where you can go and do it, but I have to say it's really hard to get reviews taken down. We do actually go in and automatically try and get rid of spam or things that don't look like they're appropriate. So we try and do a really good job of cleaning that up on your behalf. But just note, there are ways for you to rectify. Something brand new. One, we always encourage you, please get your customers to share feedback, right? Hopefully you're already doing that. We've had links. We just came out last week with a QR code within GBP. So you can print out that QR code, put it on the tables, put it on your receipts, wherever you want to put it. The one thing to keep in mind here is please do not incentivize people or pay people to give reviews. It violates our policy, and there are consequences for that. So please encourage them to do it, but do not pay them to do it. Somebody, I think it was Mike, that had an example of a really creative way that a business was trying to get reviews. I think they had their Wi-Fi password was leave a 5-star review. And we'd say, really creative, don't say 5 stars, not good for policy, but tell people to leave a review. Thought that was a cute Wi-Fi password. A couple other things here.
They didn't say it was on Google, so technically they didn't violate our policy. It could have been
okay.
a platform. So
good point. AI review summaries are new-ish. It's really hard for people to spend a bunch of time going through reviews. I actually am one of those people, particularly when I'm shopping for retail products on Amazon or wherever. I read so many reviews and it's time consuming. What we've tried to do is aggregate the themes, positive and negative here. So you may have seen this already for your business. Here's sort of the highlights and things you can think about, best dishes, all that good stuff. Ask Maps about this place is new. Mike referred to the Q&A section, which is awesome, right? What we've tried to do is use AI and figure out from your website, from your business profile, from user input on reviews, what is the information that we can give back if somebody's asking, is there a live band playing tonight, or what should I wear? I think we talked about earlier, or does this have a happy hour special? So we're trying to make this much more useful. This is launched on Maps today only, but kind of cool. And we're going to be able to learn over time. So we'll be able to deliver back pretty awesome results here. So I want to make sure we're okay on time. So last piece is just leveraging insights to drive action. I think we'll turn it over to Mike for one slide. And I think, Sterling, you've got some insights here as well. Mike, you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So every single month we send almost like a Spotify Wrapped-esque, month over month of your business profile. So we have, if it's a food business, we have insights like menu views. So, if you try out some of these things that we mentioned earlier in the presentation, hopefully you'll see direction requests, calls, views to your menu. So, keep an eye on this. It's also a great it's a great avenue for us to tell you about new features. So like we don't overly market or bombard feature announcements. So a great way to see if we have something new is to get this email, and at the footer of the email, if there's a something for you to do that might be beneficial to your business, you'll see that. So
yeah, that in my newsletter, which we'll talk about later. All right, Sterling.
Yeah, and on the same topic here, taking it just a step further, we're looking at a lot of the same. I mean, Google offers just some of the best data that literally exists on the internet for restaurants, and it's something that we use a ton of. Right, those keyword reviews to see what people are searching in your areas is so important. Trying to figure out the difference between what's driving traffic, right, and what's driving orders. Right, like profile views are great, but how do we get those into orders? Which words or which hyperlocal terms, which dishes? It's stuff that we've found a lot of success leveraging the Google data to actually get into more orders and doing real attribution. Like being able to tell a single location restaurant that for every $5 they spend on ads, we're getting them $52.78 back in real orders, and 2 of those orders became repeat customers. That kind of attribution is just kind of like, I think, just kind of completing the circle, right? And giving you that full picture of your digital storefront and how it turns into dollar and cents in your pocket. With a couple minutes left, I'm going to go really fast through the next couple slides. On the Chowly platform product, which is what includes all this extra stuff with Google, we focus a lot on getting more sales. We focus a lot on converting third-party platform sales. So if you're very popular on DoorDash, right, your operations are clearly doing well. How do we get more direct orders for you? How do we save you time, and how do we save you money? So we can go to the next slide. The platform product is a collection, right? It's a collection of everything from your marketing website, email marketing, to a mobile app, to Google Ads, really just trying to take that entire ecosystem that exists outside your 4 walls and providing you a complete picture of exactly what's happening, while also increasing the amount of sales that you can get as a restaurant. So go to the next slide. We have a whole framework on how we do this. Every restaurant's in a little different situation, requires a different playbook. Sometimes we're trying to create more demand. We can do that through reviews, paid ads, optimizing the Google business profile. Sometimes there's already a lot of demand. We just got to capture and get more first party. And sometimes there is a lot of demand. It's already been captured, and we just got to get more repeat customers. So we have different playbooks for different restaurants and different situations. And to the next slide. The platform is designed to save time, right? We're going to automatically update those hours for you. We're going to set the ads up for you. We're going to make sure that your menu is updated for you. So a big part of this is really putting time back in your day as a restaurateur. And then I think I got one more slide. Oh, no, it's Q&A time. That was record speed.
Amazing.
I also just want to let you know that in the banner of the monthly performance report, we usually announce features that are 3 months old, because it takes us 3 months to get that banner in that email. So if you sign up for this newsletter, you will find out about things much sooner.
And follow me on LinkedIn, because I'm always posting new features. I'm like, are we ready to post yet? I'm like hounding Mike because I want to announce things that are hot off the press. So I do that on LinkedIn. And this is a monthly newsletter that we put out. It goes out by email once a month. The Google Small Business LinkedIn account just made this content their official LinkedIn newsletter. So if you're on LinkedIn, go to the Google Small Business channel, and you can also subscribe there. We're pretty excited about it. So we try and update what we can. Okay, we have 3 minutes for Q&A. Sorry. What do we have, Sterling?
Did we break Mike's brain with the special hours, or is there something that you wanted to add on that?
I'm still digging around, but I just want to let you know, Sterling, that there's an opportunity for a above GBP platform to be a better piece of connective tissue because apparently you can't schedule normal operating hours. So like,
Correct. Yeah.
we can take the live Q&A, and I'm happy to burn the final 2 minutes that we have on that one question. There was one other question about uploading logos accidentally because I'm not a Zoom user. I didn't mean to resolve it, but I wanted to type an answer, and typing an answer resolved it. We get this question a lot. I uploaded my logo. Why doesn't it show on my business profile? We're always changing the search experience and adapting the search experience. It's different on maps. There are different features on maps than there are on search. That fragmentation is just kind of a fact of life in tech. There are things that are launched on mobile that aren't launched on desktop. But I will say that the logo is used in a few different places. Logo is used in review replies, So review replies, and there's I think I actually typed it. There was one other place. Posts also show your logo. So if it's not prominently shown on the knowledge panel for your business, it is used in other parts of the experience, and you just may not notice it because they're more subdued. And that's not to say that they won't show up in other places and other features in the future. It's just we have the logo, we'll use the logo sometimes.
I know we had a lot of questions kind of asked before the session, and we did try to kind of adapt the content. And I know a lot of the questions asked were kind of answered throughout the slides. If you feel like your question wasn't answered, let us know. Maybe the folks at Google will want to do this again, and we could do a part 2, and we could dedicate more Q&A or craft content for the questions. So definitely let us know. But I know that we got a couple of folks getting kicked out of conference rooms here in a minute. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining. And I also wanted to thank Lisa and Mike a ton for preparing the slides, presenting, taking questions, and educating us a bit more about Google.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, Russ.
Have a great rest
I
of
have
your
your
day.
email address, Russ.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Bye.